Deeply ingrained blocking. And now then, here we go. I admit I was quite surprised to see this subject of changing deeply ingrained blocking beliefs win the member vote. And for those of you who are watching this recording at some point in the future and wondering what I'm talking about, this subject was chosen by the members of the Manifesting Lab in a vote. And there were a number of subjects suggested, and this is the one that won. The idea of changing deeply ingrained blocking beliefs. I want you for a moment to think about those words. Deeply ingrained blocking. Right? Deeply ingrained blocking. Get your best opera voice out there and just think about those ominous words. Deeply ingrained blocking. Now, I shall not subject you to some singing, but I do want you to think about what kind of mindset you must be holding in order to be attracted to something that implies these words, deeply ingrained blocking. The reason I was surprised that this subject was chosen is because it gives me a different view on how people are viewing the idea of beliefs and limiting beliefs than I thought they had. I would like to suggest to you a rather controversial opinion. And I know it's controversial because most people in the Manifesting Lab voted for this thing to be a real thing. And I'm going to suggest to you that the idea of deeply ingrained is not a deeply ingrained blocking belief. It's a deeply ingrained blocking illusion. And I shall now try and duck all the rotten tomatoes that you're going to throw at me and all the objects that are heading in my direction from the webinar attendees, because I shall now systematically deconstruct the whole reason for having this webinar in the first place. What I'm going to suggest is you have a mental model in your head. You have a mental model that says there are such things as deeply ingrained blocking beliefs. And I'm going to suggest to you that that mental model of a deeply ingrained blocking belief is the thing that is the most blocking. I'm going to suggest it's not actually the beliefs. It is that way of approaching those beliefs. You see, we never really see things as they are. We only see things as our models, our mental models interpret them. There is an example that is quite prominent at the moment, and it's the idea of the flat Earth. There's a whole bunch of people who seem to think that the Earth is flat, and there's a whole bunch of people that think that the Earth is round. Those are just mental models. Really, the Earth could be flat if you didn't actually fly high enough into the sky and check. You could actually argue the Earth is flat. And I did try taking on that belief system for a while, and I did find it quite unsettling. But the Earth itself has an absolute thing behind it. It has a whatever it is, you can call the absoluteness of it. But our mental models of the Earth, they're kind of illusions. They're kind of things we use to interpret the world around us. So, assuming you don't go into space and have a look to see whether the Earth is flat or whether it's round, that model is what's driving your behavior. So we had this interesting thing happen with this flat Earth idea, where this guy, I think he was called Mad Mike Hughes, he decided to launch himself in a homemade rocket into the sky to check whether the Earth was actually flat or round. And he did that at considerable personal risk to himself. Now, the outcome of that was he didn't go high enough to actually see. So his next plan is to go even higher and just check whether the Earth is flat or round. But what's driving his behavior, and this is the point of what I'm talking about, is that he has a mental model in his head that the Earth might well be flat. And maybe it is. Who am I to say it isn't? But it's that mental model that's putting his life at risk. In a kind of a similar way, if you hold a mental model that there are these things called deeply ingrained blocking beliefs, don't you think that that might be a problem? Or at least it's not particularly helpful. One of the ideas that people who hold these models of deeply ingrained blocking beliefs is that they think it takes a lot of time to undo a belief. So if you've held a deeply ingrained blocking belief for 30 years, now you kind of half expect that it's going to take a considerable amount of time to unravel that deeply ingrainedness. So let me try and shake loose that mental model a bit, because I personally would like you, if you have that mental model of a deeply ingrained blocking belief, I would like you to loosen it. I would like you to think that there might be a more empowering way to look at things. And let me show you a more empowering way to look at things. And I'll show you that by showing you some complete darkness, because this is the Manifesting Lab and we never do anything that's really obvious. So in order to uplift you, I'm going to show you a screen of complete darkness, miserable, miserable darkness. Well, that there is a bit of a door there. If I showed you a black screen, you wouldn't even believe there was anything there. So I had to show you something. This is a different model that I would like you to consider. It's a different model of blocking beliefs. This is a model of deeply ingrained darkness. I want you to imagine that you've just spent 30 years blocking out all the light from this room in order to achieve this core ingrained blocking darkness. Okay? You with me so far? You are blocking everything from this room to make it dark. You've spent 30 years blocking all the darkness out. Now, how do you get rid of all that blocking darkness? Do you now need to spend 30 years pushing that darkness out of the room? I would suggest you could just turn on the light, and all that 30 years of darkness vanishes in an instant. And I would suggest to you that that is a more empowering model, that there are not deeply ingrained blocking beliefs. There's just people that haven't yet turned the light on. So if you can just shift your beliefs a little bit into this idea of there's lights that are on and there's lights that are off, then it kind of loosens up that mental model.